Welcome to IBIS Weather. This is your host, Sarah. This is the update for February 17th, 2026. We are taking a live look at the current radar where we do see some snow over there in southern southwest Canada, going into cross a little bit to the southeast of the plains into the Midwest. So Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska, and then of course over there by Minnesota and Wisconsin and flirting a little bit with Michigan as well. We're seeing some snow, plus snow over there pretty close to Maine and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and some storms as well, showers from Vancouver all the way down to a little bit south of San Francisco, but north of LA. Nothing super crazy or wild, which is good news again, but definitely a little bit more activity than we've seen the past couple of days. Let's go ahead and take a look at the National Watches, Warnings, and Advisory and actually have a few things to cover about. As you can see, it's become a more colorful map again, which is not a good thing to see. As you can see, a lot of the West is right now in a drought risk, a fire risk. So anything in the brown, orangey browns is fire. Um, and then the red flag is anything that is over here. It's kind of the pinkish. And then we also just have a dust watches and advisories for a little bit of eastern plains of Colorado into a little bit of Oklahoma, and a little bit into Texas, and also from South Dakota into southern Minnesota, Iowa, and into Illinois. And then we do see some purple over here. Let's go ahead and see what that one is again off the top of my head. Avalanche warning for the mountains over there by the Catalina Mountains into Nevada. And then, of course, I think is that the winter? Heavy snow, yes. Winter storm warning for portions of the mountains of California as well. So definitely a little bit of a mix here. And then we also see a little more drought conditions down there in Southern California, which is not surprising. We do have a good part of the country right now experiencing a drought, unfortunately, and with high winds coming across, we are seeing fire. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the current fires are going on around the country. So you can see there's a lot of activity over there in the Southern Plains and even some into uh, Georgia and the Carolinas and Alabama and Florida. Right now, there's current ones in Kansas and Oklahoma, which we'll touch on next. We also see a little bit of something here in Colorado. Let's zoom in, see. So definitely we've seen pockets of different fires being reported. You even see some there in northern Mexico. So it's definitely not great weather, or great conditions. Definitely a good chunk of the country's got some activity with wildfires going on, unfortunately, including causing some evacuations happen in Kansas and Oklahoma today. And of course the southeast, which is being abnormally dry. They're normally, if you're not familiar, they are typically more wet even than Seattle is, which might surprise some of you guys. So definitely been having less rain than they should be. So that's definitely causing why I think we're seeing the biggest cluster being over there, with Georgia and Florida really kind of being the center of that. We see a little bit over there by Ohio and Pennsylvania. And then of course, more in the plains, you don't really have that much to burn. It's not like here in the southeast where you have swamps and forests that can burn out plains. You really have just prairie grass and open spaces and for wild brush fires, etc. So while you can get really bad, fast-growing fires out there, you're not going to see it concentrated as much as you do here in the southeast. The current fires going on right now are causing evacuations in Oklahoma and Kansas. Started near Beaver, Oklahoma today on the 17th, had crossed into Kansas, across state lines, jumped US Highway 283 near Inglewood, Kansas. Towns of Ashland and Inglewood are under mandatory evacuation since this afternoon. Oklahoma Forestry Services Facebook estimated that the fire in Beaver County, Oklahoma is about 15,000 acres and is exhibiting extreme rates of spread. So, again, super dry conditions do make it very dangerous for them out there. Unfortunately, multiple state agencies are assisting. Aviation resources have been requested. The wind speeds are making it a bit too dangerous for them to do right now. Gusts over 65 mile per hour have been observed. That's not strong tropical storm force. Not hurricane force, but it's possible they could get that high at times. There's another fire over there near Hooker, Oklahoma, again close to crossing over into Kansas. About and then also Liberal, Kansas is about 14 miles north of it and may be in danger of having the Hooker fire crossing over into there. Again, continuing to pop up because of the conditions are just right, unfortunately. And of course, telling people don't do any outdoor burning, do not weld, grind, or operate any equipment that could spark, even anything that can cause friction, such as trailer chains and things like that, that could cause a spark to cause it. Unfortunately, and of course, if you see smoke or fire, report it immediately. It just takes one spark under these conditions. So, unfortunately, very scary time for those people. We should keep them in our thoughts and prayers. But yes, so we are seeing that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the drought map. Here we go. So you can see here, drought persists again for a good chunk of the country. Almost all of Utah, a good chunk of Colorado, southern Wyoming, southern Idaho, a little bit into Montana, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, New Mexico, into Texas, except kind of like in the hill country of Texas that appears to be not having that. A drought development is likely for just kind of north of that from the panhandle into a little bit of the edge of Oklahoma. And of course, you see drought is persistent from basically all the way from New Orleans all the way up into the mid Atlantic. Uh, Seeing drought removal could happen, but it's improving a little bit over there in North Carolina and southern North Carolina and northern South Carolina, and then we also see New England having some drought conditions, and of course over there by Minnesota into a little bit into Wisconsin as well. So definitely interesting. Does look like Hawaii and Alaska right now are good, and same with Puerto Rico, which is good news. But of course we are worried about um, fire conditions for starting up and being particularly nasty over here. Go ahead and move on to the next image. So this is for day one fire outlook. So this is a valid from today until Wednesday. So you can see we do have extreme fire risk. That's the hatch into the pink from basically Nebraska, Kansas, the kind of the southwestern corner of Nebraska into eastern plains of Colorado, western plains of Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle, a little bit into the northern Panhandle of Texas, critical surrounding those, so basically the same areas, and then surrounding that, all the way from West Texas, all the way up and around that is also in elevated. For extreme risk, you do have Amarillo, Texas, Garden City, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, North Platte, Nebraska, and Liberal, Kansas, which we did see they are having, being close to having a fire over there. They are under the extreme risk and critical would be from Aurora, Colorado, Lubbock, Texas, Centennial, Colorado, Greeley, Colorado, and Grand Island, Nebraska. So if you guys are in those areas, please stay weather alert. Make sure you guys are taking precautions. And if you do see anything that is smoke, do go ahead and report it because unfortunately these things can spread very, very quickly, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and see day two of the fire risk outlet. It does improve somewhat. Critical still or basically the same areas that we saw today. That include El Paso, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Amarillo, Texas, Pueblo, Colorado, and Las Cruces, New Mexico. We do see an elevated one over there by Iowa, um, the northeast corner of Nebraska, and northwest corner of Illinois. Let's go ahead and talk about thunderstorms and cold fronts. There's been a lot of talk about that. I know last time I told you guys I was saying that we might see a risk of some severe weather at the end of this week. That is still possible. We'll kind of get more into that, but it does look like maybe the greatest risk will be a week from this weekend, actually, which would be technically the first weekend of March, which would be right on track for a severe weather season to kick off. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We're starting at midnight tonight, which is a Wednesday. Again, you do see some rain over there in the Pacific Northwest and a little bit going into Idaho and Montana. And over there by New England, we do see it kind of spread out going forward. See some rain over there kind of in the Ohio and Mississippi valleys by Thursday. kind of fills in more, a little bit into the Midwest as well by Friday. Then we do see some limited shower activity, possible thunderstorm activity here in the southern states, a little bit over there in Colorado as well by Saturday. And that pretty much quickly moves away over the weekend, but it's not super impressive. It does look like it's a little more impressive right over there by the Mid-Atlantic by Sunday evening, but those do quickly push away. And then we see the next one moving into the Pacific Northwest. Let's go forward. Similar to what we saw this week, or let's see this week, we do see by Thursday, February 26th, we do see a good kind of frontal boundary kind of forming over there in this or northeast America going down to the southeast. We do see chances of rain Thursday into Friday morning, and we see another round forming Saturday into Sunday. Definitely Mid-Atlantic and Plains getting more activity. And then here we do see Monday, March 2nd. We do see some more. Let's go forward. So this is the GFS. So nothing super impressive right now. Again, GFS isn't the greatest at predicting these kind of things anyhow. We kind of have to continue to monitor it. Let's see what the Euro is showing. This one's starting at 3 p.m. today. We'll go forward until later this week. See some limited shower activity over there, kind of again in the Ohio, Mississippi valleys. Do you see some storms coming across the southeast on Friday? Again, kind of double rounds of that Saturday and Sunday. Let's go forward. So again, we're not seeing anything super. This one, okay. So again, at the end of the last week of February, February 27th, we may see some severe weather over there in the Ohio Valley, going down to the Mississippi one, kind of petering out a little bit here in the southeast come first weekend of March. And there. So again, it's kind of too early to know what will happen. We certainly don't know what the Cape values will be like, but it is something worth to keep noting on possibilities. I will say also, compared to last week, last Sunday, we had no tornado reports, preliminary tornado reports according to NOAA, which is good news, but is supported by, again, the science behind that. Back to the topic of this week, let's take a look at the convection outlook or thunderstorm and severe weather. This is for tomorrow, yeah, about noon tomorrow on Wednesday. So we do see a marginal and very small risk of thunderstorms again over there, kind of in the northern plains, a little bit into the Midwest, over there in the Rocky Mountains, and of course in California. But nothing major or super bad. Marginal risk for LA, San Diego, San Jose, San Francisco, and Long Beach, all the way in California. Not giving us cities particularly for over there in Iowa and Nebraska, which is interesting, but probably greater risk here on the West Coast. 2% chance for the West Coast to have some tornadoes. 5% chance for both the West Coast and then again over there in Iowa and Nebraska for wind, and then less than 5% chances for all areas of hail, which is good news. And then for Thursday, kind of similar, though this time we see the severe weather risk move up the coast of California into the Pacific Northwest. We do see a shift of severe weather over there by New York and the Great Lakes area, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan, and also small risk over there by Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Missouri. And then no risk forecast areas for that. Again, these would be thunderstorm, not even technically severe weather, less than 2% chance for all areas for tornadoes, less than 5% chance for all wind, and 5% chance for hail, which is good news. And then if we do look for Friday, we do have a greater risk of slide. Again, that's not super major if you guys know, but it is more impressive. Again, could be a first inkling of what we may see. Come next day or two, we will start looking at Cape values for this area. But again, it would be Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky, and then a little bit into Ohio. Of course, so the Midwest and Ohio Valley being in it. Slight risk would be Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Fayette, Kentucky, and Dayton, Ohio. Marginal would be Columbus, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Joliet, Illinois. Now let's shift to another topic that you might be seeing some people talk about on the internet, and that is the upcoming hurricane season. Yes, we are entering towards the end of February, so before you know it, June 1st will be here. We will be officially kickstarting the 2026 hurricane season. I will be doing more content about that as we get closer. However, it is worth noting that the ocean temperatures are already heating up. Now, we should be switching to an El Nino pattern, which would, in theory, make it less likely for us to have a lot of tropical development. However, we've had a few past seasons where we've had El Nino and it still was more of an impactful hurricane season. I think right now, kind of between El Nino and La Nina. So we are seeing it already quickly heating up here in the Western Atlantic. To remind you guys, all it takes is about 80-degree water temperatures up to 79 to 80, and we're already starting to see some of that happen over there. It's kind of in the Caribbean, south of Cuba, over there by Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Haiti and Dominican, and then over there by the Yucatan as well. So definitely, 78 already going up here, kind of in the west or east central part of the Gulf Coast. So right now the water is not that hot right off the coast, so the likelihood of something forming and actually getting close to actually cause destruction or damage is not high because as it forms and if it entered closer to coastal waters, it would be quite a bit cooler and fall apart pretty quickly, which is good news. But we should be starting to think about possibly already making our hurricane preps in case because we are seeing it's quickly starting to heat up. And if days are already getting this warm in February, it'll be interesting to see what happens come June when hurricane season does kick off. We may see a possible storm, at least again, not close to land, but something trying to form out over there in the Caribbean and a little bit in the open Atlantic as these water temperatures continue to heat up. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look at, yes, the sea surface temperature anomalies. Anything that is kind of yellow, orange, reds is warmer. Anything in the blues, it's cooler. So we do see basically from the mid-Atlantic down to central Florida on the East Coast. And then, of course, you do kind of see where the Gulf Stream kind of deviates off of that. It's more warmer, but that's typical for it. And then all of the west coast of Florida are having cooler waters over there by the Yucatan, also in Mexico, cooler waters. But the Gulf is already starting to heat up. A little pocket over there by Houston is a little bit on the cooler side, but we're seeing they are trending warmer already. So it will be interesting to see what happens. If anything does try to form between now and hurricane season, you will know it. I will talk about it and post it again. But if anything did try to form right now, it would get close to land. It would fall apart quickly because the water temperatures are just not favorable, but we still may see some clusters of storms trying to form something further down here. Maybe, at least again, as for the U.S., talking about if you're in Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, Windward Islands, uh, Belize, all those areas, you could possibly see something might be able to hold together for closer to landfall for you guys, but again, it would definitely be on a weaker side. It can just because it is so early in the season and the conditions just won't be completely favorable, and it probably would not be considered a tropical system at that point. I would, you know, um, because it's not technically tropical season yet, so that's important to know. So we'll continue to monitor that and follow that. But I think right now the bigger issue is clearly the danger of wildfires out west from the plains. Again, if you are anywhere in the Southern Plains, Central Southern Plains, I would recommend you guys please try to take heed, follow any evacuation orders, monitor if you do see smoke anywhere out in the wild, report it. Doesn't take long for these things to become massive fires, unfortunately. And I would also advise the same for the southeast region as well, because there is a good risk of fires happening for you guys as well. And then again, right now, Inglewood, Kansas, and so Ashland and Inglewood are under mandatory evacuation orders. Um, and then it looks like there is another fire that might end up going into Liberal, Kansas. It's over there by Hooker, Oklahoma. That might end up having to have evacuations as well. So stay weather aware. Make sure you have alerts available on your phone. We'll continue to track this. I will probably post updates on this more on my Facebook page. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know where you guys are located and what your current weather you're experiencing is. And let me know if there's any particular topic you want me to cover. I'll be more than glad to make a video for you guys. And I will post another update shortly on what we can expect seeing going forward for the rest of this week. Thank you guys.